Morning, art buddies, and welcome to Bricolage with Paint Girly. My camera's having a little bit of an issue with this fabric, but let me tell you what I'm doing. I was trying to decide whether to go live or to do the video, and I went the video route. So let's just see how it goes. I'm trying to create a cover for these pages. Look at these pages. These are old map atlas book pages. My husband said to me about a week and a half or so ago, I only cleaned out all those old maps that I had. I said, you did what? He said, I cleaned out all those old maps that I had. I said, what kind of maps? He said, road maps and the big books. He said, I've had them for years. He said, I finally got rid of them. And I'm like, haven't I told you never to throw anything away without checking with me first? So we went and he picked the trash. Thankfully, we still had it. So what I did was I took these big map books, I pulled out all the pages, ripped them in half, and then I coffee stained them. So I want to make journals. I have several of these that I can make. So I have this piece of fabric. I have lots of different fabric that I probably will not use for anything in particular. This is kind of dark, but this is going to be my inside cover, and I decided I wanted to do a patchwork type look. So I did take some time to iron some of these bits because they were so wrinkled from being in my fabric bit jar that I wasn't quite sure I was going to be able to work with them. So what I'm planning to do, and I'm not sure if this is going to work out because I'm not really a seamstress, as I've said before, but I don't want the cover to be real stiff. I want it to be flexible. So I thought, well, maybe I'll go fabric, and then maybe I'll just pin this all on and then stitch it down with my machine. I was thinking about using some golden matte medium and decided otherwise. Now in my bits jar, I have things like this too. Pieces of lace that label. Look, here's a loop from a pair of jeans. I think I want to place those strategically on my cover. So the first thing I think I want to do is take some of these bigger pieces that I have and just start with some basic spots here on my fabric. Now I'm wanting some of the rough edge to show. I don't really care about this. I want this to be real rustic. Now I'm looking for another piece. I thought it might be good to use some of the original fabric. Oh boy, the camera really does not like those dots. That could be a problem. All right, I'm looking for some of the bigger squares that I had pulled out. See, like this. I'm just using them as like a landing ground kind of a thing. Just to cover up some bigger spots on this piece of base fabric that I'm using. So I cut some bigger squares, and of course I'm going to overlap them. Or I might be able to stamp on that one. This one had some glue attached to it, so I picked off a lot of the glue. It might be a little bigger than what I'm looking for, so I'm going to take my scissors. Now I tear the fabric if I can. I want to repeat some of it because I want it to be able to, be cohesive, and some of the back kind of match what's going on the front. That's some heavy duty navy. I guess you'd call it a lace. Now I have another piece of that I'm looking for. don't know where that went. Well, there it is. So I'm going to put another piece of that down here. Now, I haven't pinned these on yet, as you can see, but I will. I'm just trying to get to the place where the camera's not jumping. See, something like this, I want to make sure it gets on the top so I can really see that. I had another piece of, maybe this is it. Maybe this will be good. I want to put another solid piece there. And now I'm just going to start attaching other little bits. See, some of this I ironed. This guy I didn't get to. He's kind of wrinkly. He might be hard to work with. We'll put that aside. See, another piece. Kind of difficult maybe to work with, but I'm going to pin that over here. Now I'm thinking I want to put some black thread in my sewing machine. And really what I was thinking is I would just kind of dance my machine all over the place. I didn't want to do all teeny tiny bits. Now I'm not sure that I'm real crazy about this being the inside cover, but it might be okay. Just going to see how it goes. And I really don't know how to do a patchwork. See, I like that. Let's see, let's offset that a little bit. Let's put a pin in there. So what I'm trying to do, now I did do something similar with another project. Maybe I'll cut this way. And it turned out real cute. I didn't pull that out to show you. But I glued my fabric down, didn't stitch it down. And I think I might have stitched a little bit on top, but certainly you could slow stitch all these bits on, especially if you're someone who doesn't have access to a sewing machine. You might want to do something like this and then hand stitch, which would be, that's cool. Probably even better, actually. It would look really cool. All right, let's see. Let's get maybe this down here. But I think once I get some pins on, I could just start, repinning bits. And ideally, I don't want a big block of fabric to show, like here. So I'm going to be covering it up with other little bits. Let's put a piece of that down there. And then the one thing is if I pin things on, if I don't like how something looks, then see, I can rearrange that. I can move that about and have a little more flexibility. And I didn't want to cover a piece of hard cardboard or chipboard, but I didn't want the cover to be real floppy like just a regular piece of fabric either. I wanted it to have a little more, some stability. Just not a lot. I could do different shapes too, but I'm just basically doing little squares or rectangles. I think I want to get that whole piece on. Maybe I'll trim this here. Now, I did have some really wild colors of fabric in my stash, but I decided not to use that. I kind of kept with these more normal colors, if you can call these normal. Now here's a bunch of little squares. Let's arrange them coming down this way. Definitely freeform. I was wondering if I could just take a little bit of glue stick and stitch, just stick them down pieces of fabric where I wanted them. And then I thought, that may not be a good idea. Might make my needle on my machine kind of sticky and gummed up, so I decided not to do that. Maybe there's a product on the market that would allow you to do that, without gumming up your machine. I don't know. Now I have an old Kenmore, so I don't think it's going to do. I think there's something called like a free stitch or something, where you just like free movement, where you're not, like when people quilt, they are kind of precise, making their squares and how they all work together. But I think there's a machine. My sister's machine might do it. I'm not sure. Where you put it on a certain setting, and you just are able to glide your machine around and make kind of squiggly marks. Now, the thing that's going to be difficult, I think, once I start stitching is making sure I get all my pins out. See, look, I'm going to put this piece of lace aside with those other bits of things. See, now this is just a piece of, this is probably a doily, but see, something like that might look cute at the end or inside. Gotta remember that. This fabric a friend gave me, it was just so yummy. But look, I don't even have to cut it. It's so old, it just kind of tears on its own. I love it. I can build little clusters of things. There's another bit of that. Maybe I'll put that over here. Now this is on the brighter side, but I had some really wild stuff. I'm going to put this down here. I think it's the dots that my camera doesn't like. It's still going crazy though, isn't it? I'm getting this kind of covered up. See, I kind of like that, but of course it's Christmas. I don't want to include Christmas. This guy I had over here originally when I was starting to mess around with the layout a little bit. Now I'm going to have to make sure that everything's tacked down at least a little bit, because then when I pick it up to go to the sew machine, I don't want it all to drop off. Of course, if I'm really in love with the layout, I could take a picture. Now this was the end of a I think a pillowcase or something, or a sheet. And I love the blue and white stripe, and of course I coffee dyed that. So I think I want to add that somewhere. Kind of like it there. I have so many fabric bits. I went from having no scraps to having all these yummy scraps. And I've got 2 giant tubs. Okay, that's not going to tear. And I've got a big, you know those containers where if you buy a new bed in a bag or bedspread set, and they come in those plastic bags, kind of heavy duty plastic, and they zip all the way around. I've got one of those stuffed with fabric bits. Now I'm pretty much made up my mind I want to cover up the dots because it's the back side of the fabric. This is not a double-sided fabric. This fabric, as you can tell, is just one-sided. So I want to cover up that back side. At least as much as I can. Now, if a little bit of it shows, I might be okay with that, but I can always add little pieces of yumminess. Kind of looks good there. So if you want to do a project like this, you really could think ahead and start putting certain scraps. Say you want to do something that's all in bright colors or something that's kind of um, neutral colors. You could start with, say, a Ziploc bag and start pushing your little bits in as you're working on other projects. And then once you want to do a patchwork cover like this, you can pull them out. Sit in front of your TV, get your cover fabric measured to the size that you want. And to do that, all I did was just take my map pages and lay it on the fabric, cut it, and make sure I had enough to go around it. That's all I did. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here to use? Well, I didn't glue that. I didn't pin that down. This is a piece of an old quilt. Isn't that yummy? Now, when I think about it, I want to make sure, see that this piece, when it folds, that this is going to be somewhere where I can see it. I don't necessarily want it on my spine. My spine's going to be around here. So maybe I'll move him down. Pin him one like that. And it's kind of boring down here, but I do have some lace and those other bits that I showed you. And I pretty much got it covered here. I think I could use a few more things. And you don't have to use those squares, like I said. You can use different shaped pieces. Now I have one piece here that's got, I wrote on it, wrote the word journal. I don't know where that went. But see, something like this, like a piece of muslin, I can stamp on that. I can put some kind of a stamp on that. Let me see, what do I have sitting here? I've got that little beehive. Maybe I'll use some of this. This might look cool, a little piece of this stamped on there. Let's just see. See if I put away my... Well, I want to use a permanent ink. My goodness, it's still jumping. Oh, I don't know why. Doesn't have to be perfect for me. I'm going to flip this back. Let me get my Elvis mat. Oh my goodness. Let me set my map pages there just in case. I didn't do so great at all. Let's do that over. We'll do it on the other side. Maybe I can do better if I do it this way. I can see where I'm trying to put my image. That's better. That's better. I do like that. Let's see, I've got little stars here. That's what they are. Oh, they might be X's. They're little X's. That'll work. This little piece of fabric. Now this is already got, oh, I just noticed that. See, it's got the printing from the fabric on the bottom. So I'm going to leave that one alone. I don't want to stamp on that. Here's another piece. It's kind of like a muslin type fabric. Oh yeah, that's cute. A couple of those stitched on here and there would be really cute. I'm liking that a lot. Okay. I'm going to take that off of my lid of my ink pad. Oops, it goes under there. It goes under there. All right, Elvis, back in the drawer. Okay. Now, where's that one? This one. Let's take that end off. Now, you could really spend a lot of time and fray the edges of your fabric. I'm not going to do that. All right. Now, let me tear one of these. And I like to layer on top instead of having everything just a single layer. So like down here, see, I'm going to add that like that. having a hard time getting that pin going through the end of that. Pillowcase or whatever it was. Oh, and they're putting it upside down. Although it would work that way. I think I want the brighter color up. All right. Now see, I won't throw that out because that could work in a little teeny tiny spot. And I may actually stitch on some buttons, you know. I'm not sure yet. You want to leave yourself options, I think. See, that's a great piece of fabric. All right, let's see here. I'm going to make this one really narrow if I can. Sometimes the fabric just tears perfectly. All right, what do I have left here? If you're watching this, you might be screaming, put a piece there, put a piece there. I got a big spot here, don't I? Let's see. That kind of goes. Let's see if we can sneak that under. I'm not worrying about any of those threads. I think they're really cool. Pop that under there. Wonder how many needles I'll break sewing over all these pins. This really would look cool, slow stitched. Now I thought it would be easier and go faster if I pulled out fabrics that I thought I was going to want to use. But you could certainly work right out of your scrap container. And I'm really pinning them down just so I can, you know, pick it up and not lose all my bits. I'm not minding so much that back of that fabric at the top there. Well, it may not end up being the top, but it's the top right now, right up here. I want to put a little something there. But I don't want to cover my heart. Let's see. Oh, look, I've got this yummy star fabric. Let me get a little piece of this and see how it looks. Don't forget to tuck. You can tuck it under. I think I'm going to want to put some buttons down there. I think I'm just envisioning buttons on top of there. Now, something like this, of course, you can always come back and add. I pulled out some Christmas fabric. I don't know why I did that. Let's see. Now, look how cool this is. I might have to hand stitch that on. That's really thick. I'm going to put that over there with my finishing touch pieces. Might be a little too delicate. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, here's a piece of cantha. I think that'll work somewhere. Let's put that down here. That's a big piece. No, that won't tear. So give me a little snippety snip of that. Now, I like things that hang and dangle off of the edges too of the my different journals. Here's some more of this fabulous stuff. See, this is Christmas. I like it, but I don't think I want it on my. That's a pretty big piece of rooster stuff there, like a farm. I think this was Debbie Mum fabric. Put a layer of piece on there. Got one little spot down here. I think I want something. Now, I would guess you could stitch paper on here too if you wanted. You know? You could stitch on whatever you want. Here's a circle. I can always trim that. I'm going to put that there. I've got a little spot here. All right, so now I think I'm to the point where I'm going to fold this in half. This is going to be my cover. Now I need a little pin here. Keep this down. And I see a little spot, or I see a little spot right there. Two spots right there. See, now I love that. And I can wrap that around to the back. So let me pin that. Now I want to be careful. I don't want to pin it shut. Just want to pin this top layer. So I'll be able to catch that with my machine. And I want to put my Wrangler patch, I think, down here. Can you see? Down here. Maybe I'll put that out towards the edge of my cover. Thinking I'm going to want something down the edge here. Or to tuck that under the Wrangler. Tag. You know, if you go to the thrift shop or you go to Goodwill and you're picking up some old clothes to take apart, Think about saving those labels, um, tags or whatever, that they have stitched to the garments, especially if they're cool looking. And you can use them on the journal cover. All right, now, see what else did I save? I have this little crazy bit. I think that might look cool right there. I want to put buttons there. All right, let's flip it over. Let's see what we got going on back here. So I've got a big patch there where you can see I've got that wood grain type fabric under there. So I am going to, I think, I'm going to take this. Oh, I see how it's going. All right, let me see. I think I'm going to take this bit off. And I'm going to stitch that on there. Ooh, using a lot of pins. All right. See, like I said, these things, I think I'm going to stitch them on, but they're going to have to go on by hand. So I've got those two loops, and I've got that buttonhole that I'm going to put somewhere, I believe. Now, I'm just wondering how I'm going to like the inside being so bold. So I might do a couple of things like this. Or maybe I'll just do a couple of hit or miss pieces in here, not totally covered. And then when I'm stitching the front side, hopefully I'll catch these. I may end up not liking this, but right now I think I will. I really think I will. Yeah, I've got that. And some of these might not catch, and then I'll have to come back and adjust my thinking. But I think it'll work. Right now, seems like it'll work. Take a piece of this. I love this fabric. Burgundy, rusty color with a real pale. It's not cream, but it's kind of like a golden yellow or something. So this wraps it up for me. I'm going to just go to my machine and add a few more bits here. On the inside. And then I'm going to sew it. And then I'm going to stitch my pages in and have my journal finished. So look for me on Instagram. I'll put this on Instagram, and then I'll also add some pictures on my community tab on YouTube. so you can see what it looks like finished. But yeah, that's what I'm planning to do. So if you have any questions, leave me a comment. If you would like, share, and subscribe, that would be fabulous. So I'll see you next time, either on the next live or the next video. But don't forget, take time to be creative and enjoy the journey. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.